Hello, my name is Ronan Colleran. I'm here today in Cork with Chris Outram, the founder and chairman emeritus of OC&C Strategy Consultants. So Chris, strategy teams have been around for some time, but what's new in strategy these days?
Ronan, that's a very interesting question because the answer is not much. We've done a lot of research into this. We've read all the books for the last decade, all the magazines, etc. And the processes and the tools that are used for strategy development have really not changed or developed that much in the last decade. I think what the CEOs are telling us around the world, however, is that the environment has changed hugely, and that has made strategy a fundamentally more difficult thing to develop. And the major things they are mentioning are globalization, the need to actually be embedded in the countries in which you are selling product rather than merely exporting to them. Technology, which has continued to develop at a frightening rate. The internet, as a sort of subset of that, is big enough to mention in its own right because it has a fundamentally profound impact on strategy development in a number of different ways. There's just more information available, not just more information available to our clients, but also to their competitors. So the speed with which you process it and the insight you get out of it is a differentiating factor. Secondly, the business models that are now possible on the internet have changed the nature of competition without any doubt. The fact that networks have developed so rapidly over the last 5 years also changes the way you interact with consumers, the speed with which brands can be created and indeed destroyed. And then finally, if you add the overlay of mobility, the fact you can do that as you walk around as opposed to sitting in your home in front of your computer has just changed the nature of the world quite fundamentally. And then you can add other things like regulation has increased substantially. The pace of things happening is also much, much higher, so you have to respond very quickly. And strategy generally is now, the timescales for strategy are actually collapsing in certain industries. That, you know, if you go to eBay and ask them about their 5-year strategy, they all scratch their heads and say, well, what about next week? Because things are just changing so fast. And then I think the final one they mention is the increasing need for a purpose. Historically, most companies were there to create profit. And I think increasingly the differentiating factor is profit and. Namely, there is a purpose to the organization that the employees can engage with, feel proud about, feel motivated about, and that will differentiate you versus competitors. So no, there isn't that much new, but the difficulty with which you develop strategy is, I think, considerably greater.
Chris, thanks very much for your valuable insights into strategy.